Thank you so much for hopping on. I'm really excited to get this started with really just talking about agriculture, natural science, sustainability, the types of careers and opportunities that are available right here in our community. Sometimes people forget just the type of parks and opportunities that we have available in those areas right here in our backyard because we think of Sioux City just as more urban. But really, what you're going to see in some of these photos and videos, I think, will surprise you of what's available and what's so close. And we've worked very closely with these different presenters on having internships, job shadowing, all kinds of different things. So, first and foremost, I'm going to pass it over to Graham McGaffin with the Nature Conservancy, and then we'll be able to introduce our other panelists as well. But Graham, why don't you start us off?
You bet. Quick test. Everybody hearing me? Okay. Show of thumbs. Good deal. Well, good to see everyone. Allison, Leah, Autumn, Henry, thanks for joining. I just shared my screen a second ago and it kind of minimized the grid, but I'll try it again. All good. Are you guys seeing this?
Yep.
Very good. Well, yeah, my name is Graham McGaffin. I'm Luss Hills Project Director for the Nature Conservancy in Iowa, position I've been in for about 5.5 years. I'll run through pretty quickly a little bit about our organization, and then I'll finish with a video, an interview of one of our past interns. We have an internship program that I'll talk about shortly, but we've got a lot of information. I know I'm excited, and my partners on the call are likely excited as well to share with you. So I'll get through my stuff quickly and leave time for questions. So the Nature Conservancy, we're a global conservation organization. This is a little outdated. We're hitting at 4,000 employees right now. We are in all 50 states where we've got programs like we do in Iowa. Over 120 million acres protected around the world, including tens of thousands here in Iowa that we've led the protection of. We own and manage and pay taxes on nature preserves throughout the country and around the globe, with the mission to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. This is a photo from Plymouth County, so just about 10 miles north of here, of our Broken Kettle Grasslands Preserve. And our strategic plan that we're just rolling on as of this summer. So where the Nature Conservancy in Iowa works, for those of you familiar with the state of Iowa, you can see us here on the west in the Luss Hills. Has been a priority for the Nature Conservancy since we began an independent Iowa program in 1963. If you're a prairie lover, if you know much about prairie, Iowa is a tallgrass prairie state that has less than 1% of its remaining tallgrass prairie, its remnant tallgrass prairie left. And the bulk of which, about 75%, is here in the Luss Hills because the topography of the landscape is it's rugged, it's steep. It's really been incompatible with row crop farming as much of the rest of the state has. So buzzing through the stuff we work on. Flood mitigation has been a big one, and those of you here in Western Iowa, I'm a Luss Hills Project Director who's working more and more on the Missouri River, because I think the challenges and the opportunities for some floodplain restoration down there, and then what the restoration of a floodplain can do for flood mitigation for not only towns and communities downstream, but also upstream, kind of the way levee alterations and floodplain restoration work. Soil loss, soil health and soil loss is a big concern in Iowa. We're an ag productive state. We've lost over half of our topsoil through conventional ag practices. So what are some of the best practices on conventional ag that can be implemented to preserve the remaining world-class, best ever topsoil that we have here in the state? So we're working more and more on that. Getting people disconnect between Iowans and nature, people and nature, kind of a kind of every day. You know, can we get people out to our preserves? COVID's been a bummer in that respect, as in so many others. Something we really like to do. And then working, one of the strengths of the Nature Conservancy is that we've got a very autonomous, independent Iowa program, but nature and conservation challenges don't stop at the Missouri River and Mississippi River. So we work with our colleagues in other states and really around the world. I work on less soil conservation, and in that charge, I've had the opportunity in the last couple of years to work more with our China program on some of the practices that they're doing on similar less landform conservation. So as I mentioned, the Less Hills, over 50% of Iowa's remaining tallgrass prairie. It's a huge deal for migratory birds, butterflies, pollinators, big game species. So really the conservation of that it has been a priority since day one. How we work, I mentioned land protection. We own and manage preserves, conservation easements, our arrangements we have with private landowners to protect their property against future subdivision, excessive development, and conversion of kind of that prairie habitat that I've identified, I've mentioned is so important. Land management, it's through the management of those preserves, it's through technical assistance to landowners, and it's through that, I'll get to in a minute, it's through that we have our internship program, and that I think a lot of the opportunities are out there for aspiring conservationists looking to get a foot in the door. Our land protection work, this is cool for those of you familiar with Sioux City. This is Sioux City Prairie, which is next to Briarcliff, a property we've owned since 1983. It was I got a map that I should include in here because I've actually got an old map from the 70s of when Sioux City Prairie was platted for development, and you could kind of see the subdivisions that were going to go in there. We had some trustees at the time, some board of trustees that stepped up and helped negotiate the purchase of this property to protect against that subdivision because it's got some phenomenal prairie habitat right there. And this is still open for the public for hiking and not public hunting because it's in town, although private hunting, some limited hunting, as Jake mentioned before some of you joined the call. We do allow some hunting on our preserves, but not Sioux City Prairie due to the proximity of the urban area. But so that's an example of some of the land protection work we do. Broken Kettle Grasslands is kind of our flagship preserve in the state, and that's just about 10 miles north of town. Other prairies throughout the Less Hills and throughout the state, as I showed on that earlier slide of kind of where we work. Land management, here's a photo from a few years back of brush management, cedar clearing, and just kind of a best practice for prairie restoration. So our stewardship, we've got land stewards at our major preserves throughout the state. We've got a stewardship team of about 5 now. And what this management looks like, it's diligence. I mean, I was looking through the interviews with past interns and kind of what are the biggest, and I'll show one of them, but one of the questions was, what are the biggest challenges that's been this summer? And one of the interns responded that now that she's been trained as a land steward, she can't go anywhere and not see land management challenges. And I've heard that for years out of colleagues that kind of live and breathe this, and it's even caught me up, and I go around and I start thinking about how I would construct a burn plan for a property, which is fun, but also a little bit maddening. Land management is a huge component of what we do, and in that respect, we've got an Anna Beal, is the donor that made the gift 30 plus years ago. We've got an internship program. It's got a stipend. It's a summer internship program available to Iowans attending Iowa University or Iowa 4-year colleges, even technical colleges, I think can apply. And I'll wrap up with showing a quick video with one of our past interns from not this summer, but summer before that. So, oh yeah, well here's a photo of these guys, and the gentleman in the ball cap, Jonah, is the lucky one who I chose to show. So I'll stop sharing to share another screen. Yeah, so this gentleman, Jonah, graduated in I think just after the internship program. Um, his least favorite part of the summer was backpack spraying, which is you go around the preserve. It's really redundant. But I think what I wanted, what I thought he called out that was really important is just he learned a lot about the conservation opportunities that are out there for aspiring graduates through the internship program, which in his 4 years of school prior to that he'd not been exposed to. And so I came to this field by my graduate studies on conservation easements, one of the practices I mentioned. A lot of my colleagues have come into this field through similar internship programs like our Anna Beal program or like internships with the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation or work with the Conservation Corps of Iowa, kind of that first foot in the door in a land management um, uh, approach to the conservation field. Um, I think something that was critical in my early career was just being flexible on where I worked. I wanted to be in this field, and so I was a little bit more nimble when I was younger, and I could be on where I started my career, and fortunately, that's led me back here where we've got family and just a great fit right now.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much, Graham. And now we're actually going to hear from Jake. So Graham talked a lot about conservation, land management, and what we're able to do in that area. If you're more interested in the law enforcement side of it, we have Jake here with us today that's going to talk about becoming a park ranger or working in the Department of Natural Resources. To kind of kick things off and introduce you, Jake, I'm going to showcase that video and then we'll talk just a little bit more about what you do.
Hi guys, my name is Jake Shaben.
Yeah.
I am the park ranger here at Stone State Park in Sioux City, Iowa. And I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about my job and kind of some of the things that we do here at the park. And maybe hopefully at the end of this, maybe answer a few questions that you guys might have for me. Welcome to Stone State Park. All right, so we're standing here at Elk Point Overlook in Stone State Park. And I'm going to talk to you guys quickly here a little bit about the day-to-day things that happen at Stone State Park. There's basically three different aspects to the job that we have here at the park. We have the management of the ecosystem, the resource management part, which is a lot of fun. We have the management of the community and the community relations aspect of things. And we have the facility maintenance aspect of the park here. All three, we try to keep a balance during the day-to-day of adjusting our tasks to benefit this park as best as possible. Typically here in the summer is our most popular time for people to be out and about and enjoying the scenic overlooks like what we have here and the different amenities that we have to offer in the park. We have things like campgrounds, lodges, cabins, and many other outdoor recreational hobbies that can be greatly benefited by the community here. And typically, like you say, during the summertime, we spend a lot of time with community relations and facility management here in the park as far as taking care of those things. It takes up definitely a lot of time and resources to make sure that everybody is having an enjoyable time out here in the park. Being a certified law enforcement officer, it is definitely important to keep a safe and family-friendly park setting here. So we do tend to do quite a bit of law enforcement here in the park too. So that's kind of some of the, in the big picture, looking at a lot of the day-to-day things that happen here at the park. That's definitely going to cover, in a broad sense, a lot of the things that we do. For more specifics, we can talk about, day-to-day things here whenever you guys have questions for me on this. Yeah, that's a great overlook for here at the park. So I'm going to head down here to Turtle Lake real quick, and I'll meet you guys down there here in a second. down to Turtle Lake here at Stone State Park. The kind of the cool, neat, hidden gems we got here at the park. Little 5-acre pond, got lots of fish in it, got your bass, gills, and everything like that. So if you're ever looking for a nice little getaway, secret little spot, come out to Stone Park here and check out Turtle Lake. It's a really neat little ecosystem that we got here. The cool thing about Stone Park is that we have a lot of different really unique ecosystems here with the lake, and then we got acres and acres of oak timber forests and a few remnant prairies that have been virtually untouched since the settlement of this area has happened. So I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to be able to help manage those areas. It can be very time consuming, difficult to do at times, but it's very rewarding in the end. You can see a fragmented or habitat that's having issues with invasive species kind of come back from the dead and kind of rejuvenate itself through hard work and things like that. So definitely one of the cool benefits that I have to this job. Real quick here, I'm going to talk to you guys about the different levels that there are as far as conservation within the United States here of America. We have the federal level, which you can virtually get in nationwide. Lots of jobs all over the place. There are park ranger jobs at that level too. A lot of them are in your big national parks out west and things like that. So that gives you definitely cool opportunities to move about as you kind of climb the ladder through the federal system. I work for the state through the Department of Natural Resources. That's my job. My employer is the state of Iowa. So we manage we manage all the state parks in the state of Iowa. And the cool thing about here in the state of Iowa is we do have a very active county system too. You'll probably see videos here from other county employees that are very active in the area. And then there's also the city level, which is definitely very beneficial for your large cities in the area to help bring wildlife to the communities there. Like I said, I work for the state here. I'll talk to you real quick about how I got to this position where I'm at right now. I graduated college at Peru State College in Peru, Nebraska, a real small school down there. They had a wildlife ecology major. When I went to school there, I played basketball while I was there too, very active down there. Graduated there in 2013 with my degree in wildlife ecology and started applying for jobs like a lot of you guys probably will here in the next few years, and ended up landing a job as a park ranger naturalist at Wright County Conservation, where I spent the next 6 years of my full-time experience at, and that was a very rewarding experience working at the county. Not only getting to do actively things in the park setting, but being able to get into the schools and doing programs with kids and other things like that. The job just really changed from day to day there, and it was very rewarding. I grew up here in Western Iowa, so I started looking for jobs as I started growing up and having a family in this area, so I could get closer to family. So I started applying for jobs within the DNR. And landed a job as a park ranger down at Lake Manawa State Park in Council Bluffs, where I started there 2 years ago. Did 1 full year down there before applying for transfer to come up here to Sioux City to work full time at Stone State Park. So that's a little bit about my experience and how I got to this position. As a lot of you guys are probably going to see when you graduate, a lot of the jobs are very spread out. A lot of times you'll have to venture far in order to get your first job and getting a lot of experience before you can maybe, find that really that nook or cranny area of the world that you want to end up being at. You kind of just get your name in the right areas and get yourself known in order to have opportunities when jobs come open in kind of your target locations down the road. And that gives you kind of the best benefit of getting the job that you really want in the end. So aside from that, if you have any further questions, I believe there's a live chat for this. So thanks for your time and enjoy your experience at Morningside.
Well, you don't really realize how many times you say until you watch a video of yourself for the last 10 minutes.
Jake, why don't you, I thought you did a great job kind of talking about how you got to where you are today. Just share with us briefly, maybe peaks and valleys, like what's one of your favorite parts of the job or most challenging parts? Just expand on that stuff a little bit, if you would.
Yeah. So I guess I'll, start with the very beginning. It's always pretty difficult to land that first job. You know, great to get into the field and everything. But like I kind of mentioned in the video before, getting your name out there and just applying for jobs, getting interviews is such a crucial part of getting into this field. And don't feel like you're in it alone. You know, there's many people out there. You have different aspects of getting the job. First of all, you know, writing your resume, you know, having the interview. The interview is a very crucial part of becoming a park ranger. You know, I had to study quite a bit and prepare myself for that. You know, and having different people with different backgrounds take a look at your resume is pretty important too, to get yourself the opportunity to get that interview. And like I said, it took me a little bit of time, applied for a few jobs, and ended up getting that job at Wright County. So, and the rest is history as far as getting to here. You know, focusing in a little bit on my job here, I wrote down a few things that are positives and negatives of the job. I guess I'll start with the negatives first. I am the only full-time employee here at Stone State Park, so I have to be a jack of all trades. Uh, you can't really hide some certain things. You know, you have to be able to not only make time to clean restrooms in the park, but you have to do all the reports, the bills, the budget for the park. Every park has a budget that you have to adhere to, and you're not supposed to go over on, which can make things difficult because I have a giant laundry list of things I'd like to get accomplished here at Stone Park, and you kind of have to cherry pick from year to year which projects we're going to accomplish and which ones aren't going to get accomplished. So that's some of the negatives. It sounds kind of simple, but as far as, you know, the budget and stuff goes, it is kind of time consuming in that aspect. So the positives of the job is, you know, being a law enforcement officer. I'm here. I spend a lot of time here when there's a lot of people in the park, and, you know, getting to help people, you know, not only with their law enforcement issues as far as, you know, when bad things do happen, you know, or, you know, a crisis happens, but just, you know, making it a positive experience for people, making the place, the, you know, Stone Park, a place where people want to bring their families and have, you know, lots of lasting memories. Everybody thinks of Stone Park a lot of times, you know, when you talk to them about it, when you're not here in the park, they think of a lot of positive memories that they had here as far as, you know, checking out the fall foliage like it is right now. It'd be really beautiful outside, or, you know, a lot of senior pictures, family pictures, weddings, you name it. We have all sorts of fun stuff happening out here, and just making sure that those events go as planned is something I, you know, try to do as best a job I possibly can out here for the people. So, and another part of positive of this job, that something that I really enjoy, is the resource management part of the job. So right now, actually tomorrow is the last official day that we are required to have our bathrooms open in the park, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but to me is kind of a park ranger state holiday, because I get to close the bathrooms up and kind of focus a little bit more of my attention on other parts of the park as far as doing trail restorations, habitat restorations, and things like that, and not having to worry about spending a couple hours a day, you know, maintaining facilities. So that's definitely something I look forward to every year, is kind of that transition into this period as far as being able to do a little bit different parts of the job. Then when spring comes around, I look forward to seeing a lot more people out here and things like that too. So it's just the changing of the seasons, and always something to look forward to in the park settings. So I don't want to talk too much. So I guess if Alex, if you have questions, or if any of the students have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you. So.
Yeah, no, Jake, I think you did a great job outlining some of that. And one thing I would just remind the students is, if you have questions at any point in time, you can drop them in the chat, or we will have time at the end to be able to circle back with any questions and connect you with these individuals. But Jake, I thought you did a great job as well, outlining that it's not all, you know, sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes we got to get down and clean some restrooms, even
Oh yeah.
law enforcement side of it. And I'm sure Grandma has parts of that of his job as well. You know, it can't all be conservation and advocacy. There are some really difficult aspects of that. So thank you both, and Jake, thanks for sharing some of that. Now, next, we're going to be able to move on to the Dorothy Pecaut Nature Center, another beautiful facility that we have right here in our community. We actually have Dawn, the director of that facility, as well as Teresa, the naturalist. And so what I want to do is similar to what we just did with Jake, I'm going to share their video introducing themselves, and then we'll kind of debrief with them a little bit and then leave some time for questions. So I will go ahead and share my screen again, and we'll be able, and I'll get that full screen video. Sorry about that.
Hi, welcome to the Dorothy Pecaut Nature Center. I'm Todd.
And I'm Teresa.
We've been here since 1995. So this facility was originally built to provide public education and environmental education to people in this region and throughout the Siouxland area. We have some great opportunities for you to learn more about nature right in your backyards. So join us today as we learn more about the Nature Center.
Here we are inside the Nature Center. It is located in the beautiful Les Hills of western Iowa. We have wonderful trails to hike, and it is our mission to help interpret the Les Hills and natural community, including plants and animals, provide opportunities for outdoor recreation, education, and stewardship. I hope you enjoy what we have to share with you.
The central focus of our exhibit B is the Les Hills and the story of Pico Trail. Les is not a unique soil in the world, but the landforms that are created here in western Iowa, Les deposits of soil 80 to 200 feet thick is what makes them landform. In Iowa, we're very fortunate to have some of the best prairies that are still found in the state due to the steepness of these ridges of deposits of Les.
One of our favorite exhibits is our live animals. We have a few resident educational animals here, such as Mona, our ornate box turtle. We also have a few snakes and some raptors. All of these animals live here, and we take care of them because they cannot survive in the wild by themselves. And we help use them to teach others about the Les Hills habitats and the animals that live there.
We brought a prairie right inside here at the Nature Center to give you a chance to learn more about those plants and animals and the interrelationships between people, plants, and animals, and how we can do more to help protect prairie habitats in our region. Prairies are an endangered habitat in Iowa. There's less than 1/10 of 1% of original prairies still found in the state. So because of the critical needs we have, we are excited to be able to share more about how to identify those plants and look at those relationships within the plant and animal community. Within Dorothy Pecaut Nature Center and Woodlands County Conservation Board, we have thousands of acres of public areas and lands that you can hike and explore. And we do as much as we can to help manage for those prairie environments so we continue to have some of our original Iowa prairie heritage to enjoy.
All right, another key habitat surrounding the Nature Center is woodlands or forest, with some of our key species being the bur oaks, walnut, and basswood. We sure hope when you come visit the Nature Center, you can explore that habitat along our trails. Another unique feature here is our live birds of prey. We have a red-tailed hawk and a barred owl here that are both permanently injured. They help us teach others about wildlife, birds, animals that live in the Les Hills. You can also learn lots about wildlife by viewing them from our indoor area at the Nature Center, where you can watch birds, or especially along our trails.
Dorothy Pecaut Nature Center is managed by the Woodlands County Conservation Board. The Woodlands County Conservation Department has been around since 1960, and it not only manages the Nature Center, but numerous parks in our county, such as Browns Lake Bigelow Park near Salix, Snyder Bend near Salix, Southwood Conservation Area near Smithland, Iowa, and Little Sioux Park near Correctionville. So these park areas are multi-use with camping, hiking, fishing, boating, all sorts of different recreation opportunities for you. And it also gives you an opportunity with our great wealth of resources between the prairies, the forests, the wetlands, to really learn a lot about natural resources in this region. So if you have a desire to be working in this field, there's some great opportunities for you right here in Woodland County.
Volunteer opportunities throughout the school year or any time of the year. You can volunteer here at the Nature Center or even one of our parks, as well as internships for credit for college. And in the summertime, we do have seasonal paid positions. We have educational intern positions here based at the Nature Center, as well as possible positions in our park areas.
My name is Dawn Snyder, and I'm currently the Education Programs Director at the Nature Center. I started my career, however, as a naturalist. And when I went to school for education, environmental education at Iowa State University, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And that's probably a common occurrence with most college students. Iowa State University had a program in fisheries and wildlife biology and animal ecology, and my major was in that. When I graduated, I was hired at Woodlands County Conservation Board as a naturalist. And within that realm, I taught kids and the public about our environment and did lots of field trips and programs. And that has led me to continue that career path throughout my time frame here. Actually, part of my career path was to learn more about the plants and animals, and that's really part of what I have as far as passion for learning more about our natural history. So if you have an interest in wildlife, animals, plants, love of nature, teaching kids, that might be a good fit for you to be a teacher for nature, which is essentially what a naturalist does. I continued on, and now I'm the overall supervisor and director, so more of my job nowadays is dealing with marketing and promoting the Nature Center, writing grants and fundraising, and supervising employees. So there's lots of different ways that you might fit into the picture of conservation. If you're interested in more, I encourage you to explore those career paths.
So my name is Teresa Croyd. I am the naturalist with the Woodbury County Conservation Board and the Nature Center. I went to school at Penn State University in Pennsylvania, and my degree was in Parks and Recreation Management with a focus on outdoor education and environmental interpretation. So I really, when I was in college, found that degree and focus because I wanted to work with children and be in the outdoors. I enjoy teaching, but not sure I would like that in a classroom setting, so this career has been a great path for me. My main responsibilities are to lead field trips, public programs, youth programs. I visit schools and other civic areas to do educational programming, as well as working with our summer employees to help them in their career path and choose what they would like to do and which direction they would like to take in this field. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. I also care for our resident educational animals, help with trail work, exhibits, newsletters. There is a wide variety of responsibilities, and that is one of the exciting things about this career is you can find lots of different things to do, lots of projects, and there's always something new to learn.
Another area of focus could be in law enforcement. We do have park rangers and conservation officers. Their main duties are to enforce the laws of the state. So they still have the same training as our sheriff deputies, our police officers, and other law enforcement employees, but they enforce additionally the laws of our fish and game and wildlife. So it's an added bonus and feature for them to have that specialty. So if you have an interest in that, that's another career you might potentially pursue. Management is really a big part of what we do in conservation as well, and our resource managers and technicians are out in the field cutting trees, cutting firewood, managing the prairie, doing prescribed fire and burns, and using GIS and geographic information systems. Lots of different opportunities for you in the tech world as well. So this career and this focus in environment and conservation continues to transform as we move on in this world. So keep that in mind while you're looking for different career paths.
I think that's an excellent video, and I think it highlights a range of different things. What I love about this panel, to be honest with you, and as a student, I hope you're noticing this, is that just because you're excited about one career area or something, sometimes that evolves. I think, Dawn starting as a naturalist and going into that, or even thinking, gosh, I really like conservation, I can go into this area. There's the law enforcement side of it, or even like Teresa said, educating outdoors. I think that that's such a cool way to think of it is, gosh, if you don't want to be in a traditional classroom, this is even an opportunity for you too, if you're passionate about that. I would kick it then over to Dawn and Teresa. Talk to us a little bit about your experience, some of maybe those peaks and valleys or anything you'd like to expand on.
Sure, I will start. I'm Dawn Snyder, and it's been fun to see and to collaborate on this. Boy, we went into the archives to get some of those older photos of me, and it was hard to find some of those because
Those are
I'm usually the
great.
one taking a lot of photos. But when I did start my career as a naturalist, I was out there, and we didn't have a nature center. I was out there. I had my little car, and I drove to the park and met buses of kids, and we did field trips wherever we could find them. So this is starting year 32 with me personally as a career in natural resources. So I've been doing this longer than you students have been alive, but it's been fun to see how things transform. So positive is there's so many different things and so many neat ways to explore. I get paid to hike. I get paid to go outdoors and be outside. So that's a big bonus for me. The bad side and the downside is as my career has changed and I become more supervisory, I spend a lot of time here at this computer writing grants, doing whatever. And that's not as much fun. It's a different kind of fun and it's important and it's vital. But the good thing is I've got backyard right there. I can get up out of my chair and go outside and take a break and refresh. So there's a lot of flexibility. And just know that if you're looking for a career in natural resources, it's vital that you spend time in the field, whether it's in a volunteer capacity or as an internship. I'll echo what both Jake and Graham said. We just finished interviews for a full-time naturalist position that was a new position, and that person is just getting on board here. And Teresa and I waited, we had 80 applications for that position. And again, it's full-time, but we had people that had a degree, and that's great, good for you, but they didn't measure up to the candidates that had years of experience either working in the field and for sure had to have a minimum of at least one internship, if not more. Of course, for a full-time job, we needed more than that. But for our summer interns, we really look at people that have a passion and interest in being outside. And if you can put on your resume, yeah, maybe you haven't done education programs and teaching, but have you babysat? Do you work with church groups? Do you do whatever to get outside, or you're hunting or fishing? Don't just think about, yeah, I worked at Hy-Vee. That's great. So you're working with people, but put down volunteer experiences and other types of experiences too, because it really can show us that you have a more well-rounded background and give you a chance, because obviously you are starting new. So this is a time for you to get that experience. And being right here in Sioux City, reach out to one of these professionals, one of us, if you want to volunteer or want to look at an unpaid internship. We do have those paid internships also in the summer. So thanks. I'll turn it to Teresa.
I would agree with all of what Dawn said and everybody else today, and especially what Graham mentioned earlier about how his interns really learned what it was all about in that intern position. I totally agree with that. Going, to college, my career, or my focus was very, centered on what I wanted to do, but actually having those summer job experiences, volunteer experiences really helped me find where I wanted to go in my career, and what areas I enjoyed and what areas I didn't enjoy. So I think that's vital for everybody, even if it's just, for your own personal well-being, getting outdoors is always a good thing. I would say, definitely it's a high and low. The variety of our work is always fun because there's always something new, but sometimes that can be a little daunting because there's always something else to do. So I think sometimes it's a little bit of a juggling act to try and manage going to a school, taking care of critters. I've got to write a newsletter article, got to work on a PowerPoint for a large event. So sometimes it is, there are so many different things that you participate in that sometimes it is a little bit of a juggle. So you do have to prioritize things. I would say that it's a good and bad part of the position because it's nice that you can try lots of different things as well. I don't know if any of you have any questions for us, or Alex,
Yeah, I
you
was
want
going
to?
to say I would throw it to the students. If you have anything that you're wondering more about how to get involved, that was one of the things I really appreciated about the video, and I know Graham talked about it as well. Obviously, it was the focus of the video Graham showed was getting involved, and opportunities even as a first year student, second year student, all the way through, whether you're looking at internships or job shadowing or just volunteer opportunities. I think that each of them have a lot of those opportunities that you can do that. Any questions? If there are anything, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself and let us know. Um, and while they're thinking maybe of any questions that they would have, one final question that I would pose, and then we'll see if anyone pops into the chat with anything that maybe just open it up to all panelists is what is one thing that maybe you wish you would have known as a student that you know now, maybe about your career or what you went into. Some of you have touched on that a little bit, but any advice, anything that you wish you would have known as a student that you know now? Anyone can take it.
I guess I wish I had just a little more information about budgeting before coming into the field, because that was not something that was ever covered in my classes.
Yeah. Oh, nor did you know or anticipate as a naturalist, oh, now I have to manage a budget. Okay.
Right.
Most definitely. Graham?
Well, here you go, Teresa. And maybe this is a broader defense for a liberal arts education. I don't intend it that way, but that's the way it's coming in my brain. So I was a business major that had an interest in conservation. So plenty of accounting and finance, and I didn't spend enough time paying attention to biology. And so now I'm regularly humbled by my biologist colleagues, but more comfortable with budgets. So I think yeah, pay attention to the courses that aren't even in your major, because you never know how they'll pop back up in later years.
Yeah, how they'll all connect together.
Yeah, that's a great point. I would say I'd never dreamed I would have to raise money. So fundraising was something that was never on the spectrum in my whole vision of becoming a naturalist. And that's kind of was the hardest thing to chew off, I guess, when we wanted to build this nature center, we wanted to do these things. Well, they all take money. And it's not really easy to ask for money sometimes, but I guess we've been blessed that we do have, I guess, in my opinion, we have a good sell, and people do care about our environment, so that's helpful. But yeah, just this, there's so many things. Communication and communication classes are vital, and that is ever changing. So those are some things to keep in mind that Graham stated, as far as you might not be career related or major related, but they do have an overall effect on what you might be doing in your career.
I want to really thank the panelists and I want to encourage the students that are on here right now. I would just say, please, if you're looking at getting involved or want to communicate or talk with any of these panelists today, reach out to me. You can go through my office. I'll connect you with their email addresses and internship opportunities, and we can look into that. The other thing that I would just pitch to you is to get outside and explore. Like I loved Jake's video walking down the trail or even seeing some of the raptors and the different things that are out at the nature center. I mean, gosh, and Graham knows I always geek out over Broken Kettle, and I love getting out there and seeing that natural prairie. So get outside, explore those things. There's a lot of opportunity here in Woodbury County. for you to do so, whether you just like passive trails or really getting out there and hiking and interacting with animals. So all of these individuals would love the help if you're looking to volunteer, but otherwise just get out and enjoy. Stone State Park is incredible. It's something that a lot of students don't even know about. So yeah.